I'm about community, learning, discussion, respect, integrity, truth, science, and discovery. Welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. Hello, and welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. I'm your friendly neighborhood ghost hunter, once again, Justin Brown, and I'm presenting episode 32. We're going to talk about paranormal pulp culture. I have been waiting to discuss this topic. A lot of people want to talk about other things, but I put it on the poll. You guys voted it in, so here we are. Before we get into it, we're going to go over here to the chat moderators this evening. We have Missy Vastine, and filling in for Jess, we have our very own Josh Bender. What's up, guys? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
They're ready. So, Jess experienced some tragedy in her family recently, so please put Josh and Jess and their family in your thoughts and prayers. It's really bad timing around the holidays, so let's just think about that for a moment. Let's talk about this thing called paranormal pulp culture. What is that? Paranormal pulp culture is anything that's made popular through media when it comes to the paranormal. It wasn't so popular as far as field research, going out, trying to discover if places are haunted, investigating mysteries and stuff like that, right? So, but the principle behind what we classify and define as paranormal has been in popular culture, just not the way we see it today. It's changed. So what are the implications? What how does it impact us today? I don't want to get too much into the history because I can kind of, I don't want to, talk to you for hours and hours about how it's come to how it is today. So what we're dealing with is a surge of how popular it is to go out to these alleged haunted locations, to these locations that have urban legends. I'm even seeing like places that are being popularized, serial killers, places where there was, lots of carnage and death, like battlefields, serial killers, all kinds of stuff is kind of intertwining in the media now when it comes to the paranormal. Why is that? Well, after talking to Patty Starr, she's been around for a while, and she mentioned to me, like right around when X-Files came out, the producers to shows starting to see a demand for that type of content. I think the reason we have the media that we have is, the demand for entertainment. People grind all through the week. They work hard. They want an escape at reality when they sit down on their couch with a bowl of popcorn or whatever with, their family. They want to just escape. And that's what the media does. That's what movies do. That's what TV shows do. They help you escape. This show doesn't help you escape in that way. We address things more grounded, more real. We try to pursue what we see as truth more objectively. So this really doesn't fall under that umbrella. So the people watching this are looking for more objective truths, more, nuts and bolts of what's actually going on in the paranormal community, which I hope they are, because that's the audience I'm targeting. But with these shows, after, the tail end of the hype with the X-Files, all these other shows come flooding in. And then, shows like Ghost Hunters, Paranormal State popped in, and then Ghost Adventures, then, a spectrum of others just started cashing in. They seen a demand for it. They seen a popularity increase. So what is happening is a lot of people that are into hauntings, they're into aliens, they're into Bigfoot, they're into all these things that we call paranormal, but they want to see it occurring. They want to see, people going to investigating them, finding that stuff, and, validating their own biases for that stuff. When in reality, in my experience and many others that I've spoke to over the last 6 years, paranormal phenomena of any type is rare. So to actually document people pursuing some type of physical proof of the paranormal would be, in fact, boring and not very entertaining to most people. I wouldn't want to say to all, but to most people. They need constant reward. They need a climax of the show. They like to be scared. They like the sensationalism that comes with paranormal pop culture, and that feeds their desires to escape reality. And that's how, the pop culture works. Everybody. It's interesting to see everybody's, obsession over famous people. Everybody strives to want to be famous. They want to be recognized. They want to mean something, in a sea of many, many, many people out there. They want to stand out. They want to mean something. So, a quick road to mean something is to become famous, to get on a show, to get on TV. I mean, you guys get it, right? That's the goal. That's the obsession, for people in the movies and on TV is clear and evident throughout our culture and the world. So there is some good to that, but mostly bad. And we're going to talk about a lot of those things that I think is mostly bad. The good thing we'll talk about first. The good thing is now a lot of people that found themselves being uncomfortable to come out and tell maybe some experiences they had are now more comfortable doing that. They're not looked at as weird or a liar or crazy, because other people who may have hidden or tried to stay quiet about it are now coming out. There's more books out there that are being written. There's more shows being done. There's more live interactive shows like this one out there being done. So more and more people are coming out, asking questions, interacting with the paranormal community that's just exploded. Okay. If you look on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, there are so many paranormal groups out there. It's insane. It's in the hundreds of thousands. I guarantee you it is. It's so many. And there is a market for not only the shows, but for gadgets, but for equipment that allegedly, detects and hears ghosts and spirits and allows you to talk to them. I mean, we're not talking about Ouija boards and dowsing rods anymore. We're talking about flat out electronic devices that speak to you. I mean, they even got freaking stuffed animals that talk, and we're using that to ghost hunt. And that's really crazy to me. And we're going to talk about why all these things are happening. So the good thing is we're bringing to light the pursuit of people going out, in their spare time and trying to solve mysteries. Okay, trying to see if there's anything to hauntings. A lot of people call in the middle of the night and say, hey, look, there's something disturbing me and I think it's a ghost. Will you come check it out? I mean, that happens all the time. So there is the demand for that. So the good thing is people are a little bit more open, and there's a lot more, acceptance of the paranormal in that regard. Another good thing you might want to consider is that this telling of these type of stories can be entertaining, but there's a fine line of exploiting people and their stories. And there's, on the opposite side is you want to tell their story where it helps others without, stretching the truth, skewing what happened, just exploiting it. I think this happened a lot of times. Amityville may be one of them. The folks in Gary, Indiana. I mean, there's some cases like that get blown up, and they put this big spotlight on them, and then here comes the haters and the skeptics. So they try to find any way they can to discredit them, what had happened, and it just becomes a big drama mess. And that's going into some of the negatives, all right? The negatives that we spoke of, they're having to do things to keep you entertained. That includes flat out lying to you, creating and faking the stuff that you're seeing, misidentifying stuff. They know it's not paranormal, but they're presenting it to you and providing some, in a sense, some form of false education. Okay, what we're doing is emulating our pulp culture, either whether we're realizing it or not. It's seeping into our minds and the way we do things. So we're going to emulate them when we start doing them ourselves. I mean, I was guilty of it when I first started. I was doing the stuff they were doing on TV. I didn't pick up a book from some old school paranormal guy that actually applied science. So I had to backtrack. I had to figure out, it's like, oh, this is wrong. This, it just occurred to me after about a year or two of doing it. And when it comes to actual research, when it comes to actual investigation, you should leave it to academia. You should leave it to actual researchers that are educated and have the resources to do what we're trying to all do. And I know that sounds harsh, but that's just true. There's a lot of things my group just cannot do. A lot of it is going out and having fun. A lot of it is, enjoying the company and, feeling that, feeling of being in these really cool historical locations. They look creepy. They have stories that surround them that kind of, get into your psyche. And that's cool. But the chances that you're going to make some type of breakthrough and capture some type of irrefutable physical evidence of the paranormal is so low, you're more likely to get struck by lightning and win Powerball at the same time. And I guarantee you that that analogy is pretty close. So why are we doing this? Well, I've said, in posts and shows before, the process and the act of going out and doing this thing is what keeps people interested. They may think or pretend or just believe in a way that they are going to discover something, but it's not going to be an objective truth. There's a lot of inner truths that people can find along the way that help out their spirituality to kind of help shape their biases in a way. So those are some of the things I'm going to lead off the show and talk about. I'd like to know what your thoughts on some of the things I've said already. I know a lot of you guys are going to have comments and ideas on this topic, but we're going to talk about how the TV shows and the movies have affected us. So let's keep those comments coming in. Missy, why don't you go ahead and start shouting out people, and if we have any questions, we can.
Okay. I have Josh Bender. I have Chad Barr. I have Sandy Griffith. I had Angelo, but he went to YouTube to talk to Bill. So that's all I have. And I have no comments or no questions. They're just talking amongst themselves.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us this evening. Like I said, if you have any input, let me know, and we'll talk about it. Josh, what's going on over there in YouTube? It looks pretty busy.
Yeah, it looks like we got 13 live viewers. We have PWI Investigations, Paranormal World Investigators, Truth Paranormal, Cryptid Phantom, Val W, Scotty Fox, Katie Halte. Let's see. Jen R. Rogue also. I think Cryptid Phantom said they were new. I think that was who said that was a new viewer. As far as comments, they're just talking amongst each other about the fakery on TV and let's see. Cryptid Phantom said my mom had people come over to her house. I was told they did not know what they were doing. They used things with lights and made sounds. One guy ran out of the house.
That's never a good sign.
So,
it's like, you have to live here? I'm running out of here.
Yeah, but that's about it. They've been talking amongst themselves. So,
all right, well, keep that up. I'll get back to you guys, and we'll keep talking what Justin thinks about paranormal TV, paranormal movies. My first experience with paranormal movie was Poltergeist. It was in the 80s. I was young. I watched that show. Loved the movie immensely. It scared the crap out of me. So that was a reason to fear. A lot of these movies and TV shows kind of implant fear. They make you fear these type of things. A lot of people who grew up with the experiences without the paranormal pulp culture influencing them not always had fear. Maybe some fear because, it's creepy, but it wasn't so intense. The fear wasn't so, amplified by how movies and TV do it. So there's a fear factor in it. People want to, that emotional response, when they're trying to escape reality. They go on roller coasters, they go to the haunted houses that scare the crap out of them. They watch scary movies. They're into horror movies. It's a thrill. So that kind of gets baked into the paranormal TV shows that we see now. So people go out and they replicate that emotional response when they investigate. They want to feel afraid. They want to feel creeped out. They turn all the lights. They snoop around in a strange place. Their senses are all jacked, and they like that. Let's just face it. That is a cool feeling that, allows us to escape that normal, 9 to 5 or whatever job that you have. And it's juice that we like to have. So that's part of it. Fast forward to now, you have all these ghost shows, most of them. Now, there's so much evidence. You get EVP every time you ask a question. There's so much activity going around. You're getting bangs. Things are moving. People are feeling this crap left and right. That's just not how reality works. Everything's a demon in some shows. Now, shows like Ghost Hunters, Paranormal State, they didn't start off like that. They were more, Paranormal State was more story-driven. They didn't present a whole bunch of evidence. They didn't find a whole bunch of evidence. They brought in psychics. They told a story. I like that. Ghost Hunters, they went in, they tried to debunk most of the things. There's some things that they threw in there that made you kind of wonder if it was, but they're just trying to, help people out by figuring out rational explanations. But then Ghost Adventures rather came along. And that's what people really wanted. They didn't want the bald guy sitting on the couch listening to Bumps in the Night. They wanted somebody getting scratched by a demon and, running through the halls fearing for their lives. Then that's when shit got stupid. You got people creating these devices that have claims that are unvalidated. They claim to talk to the dead. They claim to do all these things, and that's just nonsense. Okay, we got to take a step back because this is impacting what people are spending their money on, investing their time in, and trying to, figure out if these things are valid or not. So then you got to be careful. We talk about all the time, we want to confirm our biases. We want to go to a haunted location and find evidence. So anything that we hear come out of an ITC device that sounds anywhere close, it's going to be a spirit talking to us. Any blip on an EMF meter that happens, it's going to be the presence of an entity. Any little noise that we hear in the middle of the night down the hallway is going to be a ghost, right? So that's what we're trying to combat on this show. That's what we're not advocating. We need to understand psychology more. Understanding the psychology behind the paranormal culture will understand who, or help explain who we are and why we do the things that we do. Because the pulp culture didn't pull this out of a hat. They know that's what we want. They know that's how our psychology works. So that carries over into, the ghost hunters and the ghost enthusiasts and the paranormal people that you see across the board doing these things. So this small community that we have, we want to see actual research done. But what I think is silly, and I haven't said this before, is we're expecting a whole lot out of these people that are not even, has no obligation to find anything out about ghosts, spirits, hauntings. They have no obligation. They don't make money. It's not like you hired them to come in and find something and they did it all wrong because they watched a TV show. People believe what they want to believe, and I think that doesn't really do any harm to people. But for the people out there that are going to people's homes and telling them things and using these methods, there's a problem. So I kind of want to differentiate between those two things. There's a point where it goes too far. When you go into someone's home and play with their mind, they're already unstable psychological state. They're afraid. They don't know what's going on. They need answers. This is when we're talking about the issue. Don't go to people's homes if you learn paranormal investigation from TV. Don't go into people's homes if you haven't researched the laws and know all the underlining, crap, my brain's farting here, the liability that you have when you do these type of things. Not only the responsibility you have to, perform well in a God, I'm having trouble finding words tonight, in a professional way. I know that's a subjective way to that you can define that, but you want to make sure that you do what you set out to do, what you advertise to do. So that's what the issue is. That's what the issue is with me. These TV shows out there presenting them the stuff that's real, that's not real. I mean, there's kids out there that are impressionable. My daughter, she knows what I do. She watches a lot of these shows. She's at the beginning, she says to me, "Daddy, is this real?" I'm like, "No." "Is that real?" "No." "Is this real?" "No." "So is anything real?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's real, honey, but it's so rare." And so many times not that profound and eventful that, there's no reason to chase after, the paranormal in that way. To understand the things that we don't understand is a process, and there's a protocol. They're just trying to produce entertaining, content for people such as yourself. So in the younger impressionable community, there is a sense of, how should we say this? They're trying to mystify the paranormal, or trying to give false realities is what I would call it. So presenting a show that's real when it's not, you have the responsibility, and I think you're being irresponsible when you do that. But like I said, what is it hurting? It's hurting people that are in their homes, that are having people come in that are emulating these things. And I think that's the main point I want to say, the main con. I mean, what do you guys think? Is there any questions or comments, Facebook or YouTube, talking about this? What is their qualms with the paranormal pop culture and the issues?
I don't have anything. I do have a comment myself.
Okay.
There was a show between Paranormal State and Ghost Adventures. It was called Ghost Lab.
That's right.
And I thought that one was more realistic than any of them.
That show's horse shit.
Well, I mean, it was, but, they tried to analyze it right there and, show you how they were doing it and what they were doing.
Yeah. That show was very entertainment driven. It was a bunch of big dudes screaming at the air. It turned me off instantly when I heard it. I'm like, this is crap. You know what? They're trying to provoke activity. And that's just not how the paranormal works at all. It's not how it works. That's not how it works. And to convey and portray that on the show is stupid. I mean, if you know anything about the paranormal, if you grew up in a haunted house, that's not how it happened.
But I just meant the lab part of it, like the analyzation of it.
Yeah, I did enjoy that part of it. I thought that was cool. I'm a nerd. I like that stuff, but the other part that I mentioned made it bad.
But that's all I have.
All right. Josh, any questions, any interesting conversation going on that I can help stimulate more discussion on this?
They're just talking about different experiences that they've had. A lot of them are agreeing with what you're saying. Now, Val W did have a question here. Which paranormal TV show would you say is the most real and why?
All right, good question. There's two shows that I'm going to talk about here. Ghost Hunters in the beginning was real. Like, it was genuinely showing what a paranormal team should do. Essentially, okay, they go out, they try to find explanations for things. They try to tell history accurately, okay? They did try to do that. A lot of shows don't. Ghost Hunters was once real, but to keep on going for as long as they did, they had to keep on pushing it in a way that made it not real. They were caught faking things. They were feeling pressure by producers, and that's bad. Another show that I liked was called Fact or Faked, and they did all kinds of paranormal claims. They would find, what was popular in the news and pop culture, like, videos on YouTube or stories that they found, and they would go out, investigate them, interview and canvass people about them, and then they would set up experiments to see if they can find an explanation on how it was faked or how it could be misdiagnosed. I love that. It's freaking awesome. I will mention a third show, Dead Files. If that show is in fact legitimate on how it is done, then that might be one of the best shows out there. If Amy Allen, I've there's been members of my team that's met Amy Allen in person. They say she's legit. There's no reason for me to feel like she's not legit. So if the thing she picks up on is legit, and Steve is actually trying to find evidence to bring it in to see if it correlates with what Amy picks up, that's actually something that is good. But I do not know if all the stuff that they do on the show is actually real. But if it is, I think that would be the best show out there. I wish they would make it more transparent. I wish they would let you go behind the scenes, to let you see more transparency, that they're trying to keep Amy away from Steve's investigation and all that. But she's so accurate all the time, it's kind of hard to believe. She's never hardly wrong about anything. So that's makes me a little skeptical. Because in my experience, even with the most skilled and gifted metaphysicists that I know, they're not that accurate. So hopefully that answers your question, Val. Anything else? I'm trying to get a handle on their conversation here. Yeah, Val, Dead Files is on... Missy, can you help me out? What network is Dead Files on?
Friday night, Travel Channel.
Travel Channel on Friday nights. You can definitely Google it and see if you can... I know that you're in the European continent, Val. I think you are anyway. Wait, no, that's another... I don't know if Val is. That's someone else I'm thinking about. Raw Uncut says Grant Wilson sent him a pic of me. I had black shadow over me. He said he put it on a computer editing software and looked like I threw a black t-shirt over me, but never shown me the validation bullshit. Okay. Joe says, I've investigated with that guy, Steve, you're talking about, his girlfriend. She was also at Scarefest. That guy doesn't believe in anything. What's his last name? Is that from Ghost Hunters? Is he talking about the Steve from Ghost Hunters?
Like Steve Gonsalves?
Yeah. Yeah. Is that the Steve I was talking about?
Steve DeShavi from Dead Files.
Yeah, that guy. He doesn't. Yeah, he's pretty adamant that he doesn't believe in most of the stuff out there. Like, he's never had any paranormal experiences. He just does what he does. So, yeah, I can believe that. Anything else before we?
We did have John Cool jumped on.
I see you, West. Shannon. I see you.
Yeah, Dwayne West and also Jess jumped on.
Dwayne West. Congratulations, Dwayne. You had a pretty close call there, man. That could be super stressful. We're happy to see you guys doing well. Hopefully, you guys are still doing well. Please let us know how that baby, how Tanya is doing.
I have a question.
All right, go ahead and read Sandy's question.
She said, why, when investigators look at each other and say, "Did you hear that?" Why don't the viewers ever see or hear anything?
That's a pretty good question. Um, okay. And in my experience, our ears are attuned to acoustics and differently than the microphones are. We can actually hear things further away than the microphones. The microphones, most of them are designed to only pick up a certain range, so they don't pick up everything. The ears pick up longer range, but there's certain frequencies that microphones are designed to pick up a little bit better. So a lot of times when you see on film productions, the audio is ran through a lapel mic or somebody using a boom mic with a shotgun, and that's highly directional, and the range is very short. So that's the reason why you don't hear a lot of the things that they report hearing. So real paranormal investigators, they set up recorders everywhere and jack up the sensitivity. So if we hear something, we usually catch it. But there are times that we don't. And the reason is our ears are more capable of picking up those noises. And a lot of times we think we hear something when we don't actually hear something. And that's an issue too. Any other questions?
No, I have no more. She said, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Yeah, Raw, I see you said you'll send me the pics and tell me what you think. Yeah, just send them to Justin Brown at interfacedeath.net for me, if you would. And if you have the original files, unedited, original, straight out of the camera files, send me those, because I can read the metadata and get a whole bunch more information that I wouldn't have otherwise. Anything on YouTube, Josh, that we need to take care of before I move on?
No, I think it's just some conversation, just general conversation back and forth there. No questions yet.
Okay. So what are we going to do about this, guys? What do we do? When we tell people that a 20-year-old recorder that sounds horrible is, and people take it on the show and they're hearing things out of it because it's broken and recalled and doesn't work right. Why is that the best recorder in the paranormal field? It's because of paranormal pulp culture. We're talking about the DR60. I've slammed this recording device on the show, and I'm going to slam it again. It is the worst piece of equipment you could possibly use to capture EVP or anything voice phenomena wise. You have a better chance of getting better quality out of a toy that records something. Okay? It's just bad. All right? When you hear audio out loud, you can't even understand yourself speaking at a normal tone. And it doesn't even sound like you. And the reason you're hearing all these strange things you didn't hear before is because this noise right here, that noise sounds like Satan on the DR60. Okay? The detail is bad. The quality is bad. If you go on it, it sounds like the devil on a DR60. Okay, so you're not going to identify what that sound is because it doesn't produce high detailed quality audio. That's bad. I've seen so many people use the crappiest recorders. Okay. Okay. They use these recorders on the show, and it's not just the DR60. They're all cheap, crappy recorders. Why do they use them? They don't bring in a super duper high quality audio recording device because they're not going to get anything. They bring in these cheap ones, and they're saying, okay, we're going to capture something so profound on this device that it's going to imply life after death. This is something that would change the world. No, that's not what's happening. The world is not being changed. We're not finding and discovering voices from beyond the grave. They're letting you listen to crappy audio and suggesting to you what it is and confirming their bias and your bias at the same time. So that's a major issue that paranormal pulp culture does not help. And I think it's ruined the EVP field. It's ruined the ITC field. It's absolutely ruined it. And I like a lot of these shows like Paranormal Lockdown is like bringing on devices like from people like Steve Huff and other people. They're using apps. I mean, come on. I'm like, just understand psychology, understand pareidolia, understand confirmation bias, understand this. They do not teach you on the show on how to debunk things. Like some of these shows don't debunk anything. Ghost Adventures, they do throw in some debunking. But then they still tell you that this little dust being illuminated by an IR light floating across the screen is a light anomaly. That's bad. That's really, really bad. So it drives people like us crazy. It drives people like me crazy because we're over here on the Paranormal Soapbox show trying to teach you what is good. But no, a dozen or two people are going to listen to me. Half of you are going to probably agree. The other half are going to be like, Justin, know what he's talking about. I'm just going to talk to my friends in chat. I'm just here for the, the camaraderie. But meanwhile, hundreds and thousands of people are watching this show and they're like, oh, that's great. I got to get me a DR60. It's hard to get and it's the best recording device out there. I'm going to pay $2,000 for it. That's crazy. That's absurd. So here are the things that we have to deal with. I got to take time out of my life, something I like doing, taking time out of my life. I could be sitting down with my wife and kids right now, but I have an obligation to share my knowledge, and here it is. Buy good equipment. Learn how to use good equipment. If you want to go out and find answers, invest money in things that that work. Don't go to a ghost gadget site. Don't go to Ghost Stop. Don't go to these ghost gadget sites. Go to professional sound retailers. Buy high-grade stuff. There is prosumer, it's what they call it, stuff out there. The R40, Tascam makes great products that are affordable. Zoom makes great products. Roland makes good products. There are good recorders out there. If you have any questions, ask me on the show. I will tell you and recommend what you should get. I have made videos and took more time out of my life to show you what you should get, how you should set it up, and why I think it works. These IT sweep radio devices, I mean, come on. There's ways to validate it, but no one's using them. They just rather, listen to a whole bunch of gargled up sound bits and, let their brains hear things to confirm their biases. They're not trying to validate anomalous phenomena on these devices. They're wasting a lot of time, and they're showing these things on live streams and videos and TV shows. It's working its way into TV shows, and it's kind of like a feedback that we're getting. The paranormal pulp culture gets it out to us, and it influences us, and then we'll come up with some more absurdity, and that absurdity will feed back into their show. So there's a feedback loop. The feedback loop is bad right now. We need a good feedback loop. We need to stop watching these shows, give them so much attention. These shows need to die off. Fact or fake needs to come back. Science shows need to come back, and skeptics need to and have their light. But there is phenomena out there that we don't understand, and it could imply life after death. It could imply ghosts. I've had experiences that I don't think will ever be explained any other way outside of life after death or ghosts. Okay, people have those experiences, so you have to be open-minded, but you have to be critical and objective, trying to figure these things out. These shows, paranormal pulp culture. I mean, even in the movies, it's bad. It's just really bad. I spend most of my time watching documentaries and educational programs, just because I just think it's a better investment of my time. Every once in a while, I'll go into a ghost show to see what they're doing. If they're at a location that's cool, I want to see what it looks like. I want to hear the history about it. But the evidence they get, bad. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, am I on the right track here? Do you agree with me? What do you guys think? What is your opinions? Do we got anything in the peanut gallery happening? directed at me.
Yeah, I have a few. Sandy Griffith said I have a hard time understanding any AVPs. LOL, I can never hear anything.
Because the recording device they're using is bad.
Becky Compton asked you a question directly. She said, Justin, do you get hyped over a location or keep your expectations low before an investigation, especially big locations that you hear so much about?
That is a great question. I try not to get hyped, and it's hard not to. I try not to get hyped. I try not to focus on anything about it. Okay? In some rare occasions, Waverly Hills Sanatorium, for example, I try not to think anything about it. We've watched the shows. We've watched all the documentaries about it. I'm just like, it's just a building. We're going to go check it out. And on the way there, I start feeling very strange. I'm going, into the Louisville, Kentucky area. We're going down towards there. I start feeling like a sense of dread. It's like an anticipation and dread feeling. I'm like, why am I feeling like that? And it kind of dissipated. I went up in there, and Tina Mattingly doesn't allow you to film her when she gives you a tour, so she tells us to put all the cameras away. And when I go in there without focusing on the equipment and shooting, I start to experience things. Now, I do not correlate those things with any type of bias or anything suggested to me prior, because I didn't know the layout. I don't know the history of it, other than, thousands of people died of tuberculosis. That's all I knew. I was feeling things in areas that, Tina would confirm, and I don't know if I was picking up on anything. But the hype that I get for locations is hard to control. Because, you're spending time, effort, money. You get excited about these places. I get excited about filming them and seeing the photography of them. I try not to get hyped about the EVP I'm going to get or how haunted it is. Because I know the reality of the paranormal. It is like, if I feel like I get something that I cannot explain on an investigation like that, it's like winning the freaking lottery. So, I hope that answered your question.
Okay, and the only other thing I have is you posted the link on Facebook, and it was streaming on Facebook, but their questions and comments weren't coming through.
On this show?
Yes. It happened tonight, too. So I was reading Becky's or Heather's through Derek, because he did the same thing.
Now, I'm seeing some Facebook comments coming through here on my end.
Right, they just came through. But it was Becky and Heather and Derek on one page, and I had everybody else on the other.
That's odd. I'm going to have to look into that, because I just have one event from the blog page.
I know, but, it was streaming on Facebook, and they were watching it from Facebook, not the blog page.
The blog page is Facebook.
Well, I don't know what happened, but he told them to go to the blog page, and everybody did. Now they're all on there.
Huh. Yeah, this show is streamed, like I stream it from Justin Brown's blog page. I have a blog page. This is my blog show. I sit here up on my soapbox and rant and rave. So if you ever have that experience, if you're looking at a shared stream, it should not do that. I don't
Becky
know.
said me and Heather had a whole conversation, LOL.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying over here. Like we're trying to interact with you guys. I don't know. I'll have to troubleshoot that more. So I don't know. YouTube.
All right. Scotty Fox says the DR60 has a screaming demon fault.
That's not all, but that's one thing.
Now I gotta find. I don't think there was a question. They're still just talking amongst each other. Truth says, I love it when people are live streaming and they use K2s. They get a hit and a fluctuation and call it paranormal. Never crossed their minds that it was a self signal.
Yeah, and when you tell them on their live stream, hey, your phone's setting it off, they're like, What are you gonna attack me? Why are you going to be such a Debbie Downer? I'm like, I'm just trying to help you out. So, yeah. REM pods too. I'm starting to slowly dwindle our use of REM pods because they're so susceptible to false positives that I'm realizing, and it's not doing our research any good. There's a lot of things that we're trying to figure out if we should be using them or not. A lot of the equipment that we use interfere with the K2s and the REM pods. So we use the millimeters. They have a much narrower range. But even they are subject to false positives. Like the REM pods with the wireless mics that we're trying to figure out on our investigation, that caused us to have to figure that out. And I think if I didn't have such a skeptical mind, and if I didn't understand our equipment to a certain degree, we may still be scratching our heads about it. We were at Randolph County Infirmary, and we run wireless mics during the investigation, so we're mic'd, and everything's going into one recorder, so I can cross-check everybody's audio if we get something. And the wireless signal is sitting off the REM pod. Every time I get next to it, boom. Stick a K2 next to it, boom. So yeah, there you go.
I think that's all I have. Now the party can get started on YouTube because Sam's Wings has joined.
Let's see what kind of spirits she can invoke on YouTube. Nice of you to join us, Sam's. All right. So where does this lead us? What are you guys doing? I mean, you obviously, I haven't seen anybody disagree with what I've been saying. So what do you guys try to do? Do you just keep your mouth shut, or do you just like rant and rave to everybody? What I try to do is do shows like this. I try not to come across as cynical. I try not to come across as an asshole or a dick. Sometimes it's hard, but not everybody that's falling for these things or making these mistakes, they're not stupid. They just don't know. If you're being told this information and you're still doing it, you're a problem. I'm sorry, but you are. You need to be better. You need to listen. I can tell you why. I can debate with you why these things are bad and wrong. If you're using a device that will give you something that's going to interfere with what you're trying to do not use that device. We need to have clean methods, and we don't need to worry about things like false positives. We can't research that way. We can't investigate that way. It's bad. I want people to understand what ghosts are and what spirits are. And by using these methods and using these gadgets and using emulating the shows, that's not telling you what ghosts and spirits are. This is something that everybody should be curious about. There's signs of, the afterlife, of things coming back and interacting with us. How can we figure out what those things are? We have to learn about our minds. We have to learn about science and energy and what consciousness is. I mean, science doesn't even understand what consciousness is. So even applying science to something that concerns consciousness existing outside of the physical body is impossible right now. You just cannot find proof of it. We can't even find proof of consciousness. Science and academia and philosophers debate it today. There's theories out there that are interesting, but we just don't know. So telling people you're finding proof of ghosts is wrong. Talking about things that you believe is fine. Inner truths are fine. We all are guided and directed by our inner truths. I think spirituality is important to everybody in our culture, but going to people's houses and investigating their claims and pulling out these apps and pulling out these things, telling them they have demons, scaring the crap out of them, making things worse. That's wrong. Let's stop doing that. These TV shows, the paranormal pulp culture, you need to differentiate and separate entertainment and fantasy from reality. If we're not doing that, there lies the problem. So, I want to know what you guys are doing. Maybe you don't have time to do your own shows. Maybe you can't run a blog. Maybe you just have Facebook. You write a post, but it's not reaching people. What do you guys want to do? What do you think that you can do better? It's hard to change, right? It's hard to change your methods. You get stuck in a rut. You're used to the same old thing you've been doing. It takes more energy and more time to research better methodologies and change what you're doing. Change is hard. So are you changing? Are you trying to do things? I'm watching everybody on this chat. If you have a YouTube channel, if you have videos you're putting out there, I'm watching them. You bet your ass I'm watching them, and I'm thinking about why you're doing these things. Because I'm telling you, there's still people out there who are doing some pretty asinine things still. And I just want you guys to realize that I'm taking my time and energy to watch all these things, and I'm constantly reviewing them. I'm letting you know how I feel and what I think about these things. I'm not a YouTuber that has a lot of views, a lot of subscribers. The reason is I don't do the things that YouTubers and content creators do to get those. I'm not telling you I'm talking to a dead celebrity. I'm not telling you that I'm getting an EVP every 5 seconds out of this device here. If I did a live stream of investigation, chances are nothing will happen. We're in this creepy place in the dark. It's cool and everything, but nothing's going to happen because that's usually how it is. Do you want to watch that? Probably not. But the mass majority, not. So, what does that say? What does that mean? That means that there's a problem. And paranormal pulp culture is one of the things that we can stick a little thumbtack in and just, call it out. We just got to call it out. We have to say, hey, enough is enough. Stop giving, all these shows ratings. Stop giving them our time and energy, and stop giving them power. Because until we do that, they're just going to keep falsifying everything there is. Before we wrap it up, we'll go back to the peanut gallery and see if there's anything else that we can address or answer.
I don't have anything. Sandra Griffin said, I just watch the TV shows for entertainment. I know all of it is fake.
Good job, Sandy. She's no dummy. All right. Anything on YouTube?
They're all just talking amongst themselves still. Sam's catching up on past comments and looking for something that's Truth Paranormal said I pretty much document what everybody else is doing on my channel.
So, Joe, here's a question for you, buddy. When you see something that other people are doing that is just horse crap, do you just not do anything? What is it that you do? And I'm not calling you out. I'm not going to judge you. I just want to know what you do. Like, what do you think? Why do you do something? Why do you don't do something? Because me and Josh have been on collaborations with groups that do things that we don't do. I mean, Josh, I'll ask you, is it just easy not to say something? I mean, what is your stance on it?
I don't, somebody does, if you would do something that I didn't like, of course I'm going to call you out just to pick at you. But, when we're doing like collabs with other groups and stuff, and, I think it's better just to let it go, let them do their own methodology because, everybody has their own methods and who's to say that they're wrong? And, you may not like them and they do. So, I think just let them do what they're doing. And I think it's just cool to get a collab going and work with other groups. sometimes you're going to have things that they're going to do that, you don't.
So if you see someone using a DR60 and you think that that's not wrong, you think that that's fine.
I'm saying that that's fine that they can use it. I'm not gonna sit there and call them out. I'm no better than anybody else in the field. But am I going to believe it? No.
Right. Do you think you're talking about it from kind of like a leisure hobby standpoint? It's not actual research. They're going to do what they're going to do. It's not hurting anybody. So that's why it's not worth, judging them. Is that kind of like what you think the overall thing is? Okay. Yeah. That's important to address because a lot of people are out there just doing it for a hobby, and it's not hurting anybody, and it just causes unneeded drama calling them out. But on the other side of that, things need to be peer reviewed if you're presenting them as, evidence. So that goes back to, me saying we're expecting a lot out of people and groups that aren't obligated to do the things. They claim that they provide evidence of the paranormal, but they have no sense of doing it in the first place. So why put them in the setting and in the role of doing those things? Because really, even our group isn't really obligated or in a position to present such evidence to academia or the scientific community, even though I spend a lot of time and effort to do so. Maybe one point in our journey that we can get to the point where we can start doing those things, and we're going to talk about doing that next year even more. So I think it's an interesting topic. I think, it's just something to think about. Anything else there? I asked Joe what he does. I don't know if he responded to that.
No, I don't. No, he didn't. I don't think he responded yet.
Okay. Well, he'll message me later.
Now there was. Let's see. Sam said something here. She said she needs a translator with these devices. I told her to ask any questions that she had about any kind of equipment, and you would answer it.
Yeah, I'll try to. All right. Well, thanks for helping out Josh and Missy. We're going to close out this show and put another one in the books. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. Sorry that I got a little bit, unhappy, but sometimes that's part of the show. Sometimes I just have to tell you how I feel and how it is. But I just want to emphasize that a lot of people out there that are doing the paranormal, 99.9%, probably even higher than that, have no business saying that they investigate the paranormal legitimately, and they're not presenting evidence that can be presented to convince pretty much anyone. But I am trying to do that. So if I'm doing something, you can call me out. You can peer review my stuff. If you want to see unedited, raw, and cut stuff, anything we do, I will present it to you. Photos, video, audio. I'm in it to win it. I'm trying to do it for real. So I'll put myself outside of how I perceive most groups doing it. I want to figure things out. But a lot of it is just, hobbyists and enthusiasts, and people are just trying to have fun. So not to be too serious. I don't want to come across too serious and too critical and judgmental there. But thank you for joining me. It's been awesome. This show is one of my favorite things to do every Tuesday. If you're not familiar with the Monday show I do bi-weekly, it's called the Supernatural Symposium. On Live Paranormal Facebook page and on Interface Desk YouTube channel, I have a panel of a psychic, an investigator, and a skeptic when we talk about paranormal topics like we do on this show. So if you haven't watched that yet, I'm going to start, watching the posts on this page. I spam the crap out of it. Tomorrow night, we're going to have Matt Bitten on Necromancer on Interface Death's YouTube channel and on the Necromancer live show Facebook page. So we're going to talk to Matt tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Please tune in for that. We're going to go over to the the Patreon supporters, everybody up on there, is making sure that this content keeps on going. So we're going to shout out Clay Borman, RJ Murphy, Scotty Fox, Danette Goldtrip, Jessica Bias, Bill Davis, and Joe Vitale. Without their support, this content would not be what it is, and we extend our gratitude for your continued support. If you want to support this show financially, $1 a month, $5 a month, or even more, you can get rewards for doing exclusive content, deals on our merchandise, all kinds of stuff. Just visit patreon.com/support interface death. The link is in the YouTube and Facebook video description. You can check that out and help produce our content. So there we have it. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for joining us. Tune in for our stuff. Tomorrow night, we're taking the whole week, Christmas week off. There's nothing going to be happening next week. So you guys have a happy holiday if I don't see you tomorrow night, and a happy new year, and take care of yourselves, and just be safe, will you? Stick around for some video promotions if you have not seen them, and I'll see you next time.
room over here? What the fuck, dude? That's weird.
You didn't do anything, right?
No, it just turned.
Justin too close.
No,
He opened that door and it went off.
Yep, exactly.
Did you just run out of there? What was that?
I don't know. I feel like I can't breathe in this room.
Generally, Justin, when you guys investigate, do you just take long pauses, wait to see if you hear things, and observe everything that's going on?
It depends on the location and our experience with the location. So in this case, at Waverly Hills, since we've been here before, we've heard a lot of stories, done a lot of research, and investigated, we typically like to listen a lot because we hear the coughing, we heard it last time, so we didn't hear it again.
Side effects of prolonged isolation: paranoia, depression, helplessness, brain stimuli decreases. Now, what happens when you put a man isolated in 3 paranormal infested buildings for 3 nights in each location, all by himself? No one to help me. No one to protect me. Just me versus you. Does paranormal activity increase?
So what do you think of this piece of evidence?
I think by far it's the best piece of evidence we have seen here.
That's flat out amazing. And that's something we've never captured.
Oh, wow.
What? Nobody has ever got it on video.
That's creepy.
In 11 years.
So no one's ever caught this on video?
Never. Ever.
Here is my story, and here is what I went through for my research into the paranormal. Push the door, please.